Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Natter with Niamh. And this week I have the wonderful Simone Kay with me. I met Simone down our local pub. Simone is an artist. She goes around and glitters everybody's face down the pub, which is really good fun when we have events down there. Simone also owns a stained glass studio. And one of the things that Simone and I are going to be talking about is her art and her drawings. Simone has been doing a drawing for a day every day for the last 10 years. And that is something that absolutely fascinates me um, about Simone. So we are going to talk about that at some point. Hello, Simone.
Hi, Niamh.
And the first thing, Simone, when you filled in your application form to come and share your stories on this podcast, one of the things you said you wanted to share was a story about your aunt escaping from the Gestapo because that was a story that particularly inspired you.
Yes,
Could you share something about that?
yeah. Well, what happened was, so I'll tell you her story first, and then I'll tell you what happened in 2020. Um, she was living in Paris with her two young sons. I think her husband was already in the army, or this was during the Second World War, and uh, she knew that the Gestapo were occupying Paris very soon, and she didn't know when exactly. And what happened was the Gestapo came to her front door, and luckily, she managed to escape. So what she did was she left at night with her two sons, and they walked out of Paris, and they walked. I don't know whether there's some hills near there or whatever, but it always reminds me of The Sound of Music when the family went over the hill and
Yeah.
to escape the Nazis. And she managed to escape and managed to turn up in London at my grandparents', and they had a sweet shop. And she managed to turn up there with her two sons. And I found out more recently from her son, who's still alive, and that was my dad's cousin, is that a bomb went off across the road in Bayswater and her hair went white overnight,
Okay,
which
wow.
I know. I I don't know how that happens, how you lose your pigment overnight, but anyway,
Yeah.
I actually before lockdown and for a good few years used to have the brightest pink hair, and it was leave-in color conditioner that was organic because I go to an organic hairdresser because I very much believe in that. I don't want all the chemicals in my body. And what happened was I had bright pink hair during the over lockdown. I used to just put it in myself. And one day I was in the studio because I work in the studio, and even though the work was a bit unusual during lockdown, in fact, I was making a panel for the community brain, which was a local community, Robin Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And um, what it was everybody's wonders what they discovered during lockdown. A lot of settees, but a music stand, and I put a parakeet feather into my wonder, and I made it look like a Zoom meeting. I'll have to show you a picture one day. Anyway, I'd been working in the studio because I'm a bit of a workaholic anyway. So, uh, got a knock on the window, the door, and it was a policeman, and he was very tall and dressed in his full, sort of reminded me of the Gestapo a little bit, very stern and very cross with me. And there was another policeman behind him who was more mature, softer in approach, but the big burly guy knocked on my door really hard, and I opened it, and he said, "We hear that you've had someone in your shop. You know, someone said they saw someone in your shop, and it's been reported." and it actually was quite scary. It was.
Mm.
And I related the story about my aunt, her hair going white overnight because of the Gestapo coming to her. And the more mature policeman said, "Well, I don't think your hair's going to go white, dear. It's very pink. It's bright pink." And that would just kind of broke it was a bit funny that he said that, but I didn't, I wasn't laughing. I didn't think it was very funny, and I found it very intimidating. And I just thought, oh, what we're going through is unbelievable. Anyway, after they left, oh, they just gave me a warning. There was nothing written down. They just said, don't be seen to have your shop open with people in because it's illegal. But
Mm.
anyway, after they left, my partner printed out a piece of paper saying, "We are open to the construction industry," because, of course, while all this was going on for little old us, they were building the post office development in the middle of Kingston.
Mhm.
Huge buildings. I took photographs because I just couldn't believe it, how they were allowed to be there, standing side to side, 10 of them at least, every day, working, working, working. And we weren't even allowed to open the shop, and we weren't even
Mm.
allowed to communicate with people, and we had to go out for an hour a day and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we put that notice up on my shop front saying we are allowed to open for the construction industry. And anyone who wants a moon calendar, which by the way I make every year, um, must, telephone us and then we'll arrange where to leave an envelope or something. It was ridiculous. And I'm so glad that's all over. And the reason I don't put pink in my hair anymore, although I might put a little bit, is because I go swimming now and I don't want to leave a pink trail in the water.
I love that.
Yeah. So
I think
that's,
I'd be even more tempted to dye my hair pink to leave a pink trail.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nuffield won't be very happy. But
No.
Um, you know, I was wondering what date that was, and I'm gonna look this up, but I didn't pre-look it up. Sorry about that. Because
That's
I
okay.
want to know what I drew that day, because of course I was in my fifth year of doing my drawing a day, and I did draw the fish and chip guy with his mask on,
Mm.
you know, because we were allowed to get fish and chips one day. I don't know. And he had a mask on, you know. And I drew someone crossing the road with their dog. Their dog didn't have a mask, but they did. And,
Lots of masks.
exactly, exactly. And, yeah, so I tried to link my drawing to what's happening to me. It's actually a project where what I see every day is what's drawn. So I might think to myself, oh, I don't know what I'm drawing today, but there's music playing tonight at the Lamb, and then I'll go along there and draw the musicians. So I love drawing musicians. I love the shapes of their fingers on the
Mm.
instruments, and I don't use pencil because I haven't got time normally. I just
Yeah.
put straight away in pen, and then paint it with watercolors, which are very quick. And so some of my drawings are so quick. Like the other day, I did dinner, which was a shepherd's pie and um, Clifford Cliff Cooks, and I hadn't done my drawing. It was getting late, not late, but
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm either drawing flowers or plants or fruit or something inanimate. But I thought, wow, this dinner looks so good. I'm going to draw it. But I had to draw it so quick so I could eat it hot.
So, I mean, you've talked about this, and you said like during COVID, it was that you were 4 or 5 years into this journey. What kicked that journey off? What made you start doing that
Okay.
drawing a day?
Yeah. So 2016, I started January. What happened was I was only doing watercolor paintings and drawings, either for work because you need to do a scale design and it watercolor translates nicely to glass, or when I went on holiday, like when we went for one day to the seaside or a few days on holiday. Um, so I always done postcards for my family ever since I can remember, really, and then send it to them, hand make the postcards and send it to all the family. And, I used to go on canal boat holidays with the children, and I was lucky enough to just sit on the roof and paint the view, which was amazing. So it's like fun and a fun thing to do. But
Yeah,
what happened was work, 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 work. I teach as well in adult education. And
yeah,
so all my time is allocated to all the things I do. And I thought, well, I will just start this. I will just do a postcard card size drawing, and it doesn't matter what it's of, every day for a year. And while I was doing that, the lady who runs the art um, gallery at the corner house in Tolworth, so it's local,
yeah.
Surbiton, I actually was going to make her a front door. I went to her house to make her to talk about, oh, what do you want? What designs do you want? And she said, oh, well, they've got stained glass next door if you want to have a look at their one, and then we can be
Mm.
inspired by it. So I went next door and drew it in a notebook, like you do, and
Yeah.
went back. She was like, how did you do that so quickly? And that was only in my first year. And then I just told her that I practice drawing every day, really, because I draw every day. And she said, please, can you come and exhibit in January 2017? So that was my first hashtag drawing one a day, first year. And because all the pictures are in a book of moleskin watercolor paper,
Mm.
and it takes about a month per book.
Yeah.
So, and my daughter said, don't tear them out and don't cut them out, keep them in the books, but make giclée prints, which is the closest thing to a watercolor painting with the original inks that they print it on. So it looks exactly like a copy of your painting, but
Okay,
it's
well,
actually a
yeah.
print. And then I did prints of random, I didn't know what, I thought I'd sell some and I did sell some. And I got orders for others because people looked through the book. And I just had these giclée prints. Who knew? And then I had another exhibition the year after. And then when I was 60, I had one at the Rose Theatre. And that was my birthday party was a private view, which was February the 2nd. And it was a lovely event, wonderful. And I got the best gift ever from my partner. But what happened was, oh yeah, I printed the whole of that year, month
Mm.
by month. So 2019 are about 30 paintings, giclée prints on a sheet, A1 sheet. And it was quite fun and quite fun to look at and look through. And for me to just look at the whole thing, and notice, oh, I remember that. That was an insect that got into my tent at a festival. And it was a huge beetle. I don't know beetles, but it was huge. And I was like, nah, put a glass on it, and I thought, I've got to draw that. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. What am I going to draw today? Oh, the beetle. So anyway, that exhibition at the Rose Theatre was the longest exhibition that no one's ever seen because it was lockdown straight afterwards.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then it was up for 10 months. And then I could invite people by appointment to come in small groups. And then I took it down eventually. And then I actually re-put those up at the corner house a couple of
Mm.
years later. Not this year, but the year before. So 2023?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2023 or 22, can't remember. But anyway, I mean, I did think about it would be fun because when I had the small giclée prints at one exhibition, I then printed matchbox size of each day and it went around the whole room, all the rooms, like, January, February, March. It was a whole thing. It's quite fun. I mean, it has inspired people to do something every day. That's what I hope, because you can do it. Or
Oh,
even one a
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would, if it was me in poetry, I'd switch to one a week. For me, I used to do haiku poems because it blew my mind. It 5 syllables and then seven and then five.
Yeah.
And it just made me laugh. I'm not very wordy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, words are my medium. I don't really do. Yeah, I can't draw to save my life. I can't even draw stick figures properly. But then again, I have never been taught. I never did art at school. So,
Oh
you know,
yeah. Yeah.
no, and I think, maybe if I'd been taught, I might be able to do it. But, it's not something that compels me. But what I was going to ask you is, how do you keep this up? How do you do it every single day?
I carry it around with me. I carry it around with me in a bag, in a little bag. And what happened was, for instance, on when was it? Oh, Monday, I went to an exhibition at the Kingston University. My friend invited me. It's about rivers. I could so easily have done my drawing a day there because they had a really interesting tablecloth made of denim that was cut in different directions, and so it looked like water, and it was like material. And then on when I was walking home, I thought, oh, hold on a minute, I was going to draw that, and I didn't because I got talking to people there. They had
Yeah.
the water people there, and so when I came, I've forgotten what I drew on Monday, but when I came home, hmm, have to look it up. But anyway, either way, I always find something.
You always find
Something
something to draw.
usually, something usually triggers it, like, or I might even get to like 9 p.m. and I haven't done my drawing. And I'll say to Cliff, I haven't done my drawing today. And, I'll look around and I'll see something uh, mundane and then I'll just draw it. And it doesn't have to be very complicated because I don't really have time. I love
Mm.
having time. I really like, I don't really like it, but I just do it. Buildings, complicated buildings.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, why? But one I did last week, I went to see my sister in North Wales, and the day before, had drawn a pier, the railings of a pier, because their shapes were so great. It looked like Moorish art, the
Yeah.
Moors. I thought, oh, so good, and it was so quite quick, and I could draw the sea behind, and it was fine. And then the next day, I was at Colwyn Bay, and I sat on the pier, and I was looking at the pier, the railings, thinking, wow, they have made this so complicated compared to yesterday's. I'm
Yeah.
not going to draw it. I'm not going to draw it. I'm just going to look at above it and draw Colwyn Bay with the hills and the sand. And then it was like, no, you're going to draw it because you want to remember it. So you draw it. And it was so hard and so long, really long, but I had a lot of time there. Anyway, I was
Yeah.
going to spend a lot of time there. But it was drawing the pier, and I was trying different experiments with things I have had in my bag. And it was drawing that, or go into the town and draw a Victorian building or a duck or a rose,
Yeah.
But I did draw it, and I was quite pleased that I had persevered and done it.
Yeah, what
because
I'm
also,
hearing here is that you like challenging yourself with your drawings as well.
yeah, if I've got time, I'll challenge myself. Otherwise, it's just splodge, splodge. That's it. That has conjured. My friend gives me flowers nearly every week to draw.
Mm.
So I've always got flowers. She's so sweet. And I send her a picture of it, on
Yeah.
WhatsApp because as a thank you. I
Well,
usually take,
yeah. I
I
imagine
usually,
because your drawings are small, it must be quite challenging just to even draw some things that small, though.
oh, it's not that small. It's A5.
A5, okay. But
No,
even
it
still,
isn't.
that's
Sorry, no, it isn't. It's
still
A6.
postcard size, so
Yeah, A6,
yeah,
A6,
yeah,
yeah. So if you want miniature, like loads of detail, like I did three musicians, it took all the songs they sung the other day. I went to this lovely concert, and it was the Royal Albert Hall band.
mm,
And the thing was, they weren't playing the instruments all the time for the whole concert. They talk, and while they're
yeah,
talking, I can't hear them playing an instrument. So I kind of had to keep waiting for each song and da da da.
yeah.
Luckily, I just finished as the concert finished. Plus, we were reading the words and singing along.
Quite
So,
challenging, yeah.
yeah, multitasking.
So
But when I'm
do you ever take a photograph and then draw that, or do you always draw in
only
real
if
life?
I'm paid, if only if I'm paid for doing something, like if someone sends me a photo or no, I never. The only time I've ever done that, to be honest, was once when I had my eyes tested and I started to draw the screen with the back of your eye, the
Yeah.
screen with all the details. And she said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but you have to leave now because I got my next client coming." And I took a snapshot and finished it in the waiting room.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean I love that you kind of do it like then and there on the spot as well, that you're not kind
Yeah,
of and I suppose that in some ways probably makes it easier, does it? Because you don't have time to think, you just get on and do it.
exactly. Yeah, you're not thinking. But I was just going to go back to, as a child, I used to draw.
Mm.
Um, it was a kind of escapism thing. So if I see something, I try and draw it. And I remember my mum saying to me, "Oh, don't draw what you can see. Draw what's in your imagination. That's much harder." And, she got me drawing kind of like doodles, really, in a way,
Yeah.
patterns. But secretly, I love drawing what I can see. And sadly, she did pass away. But, I always think about her because I wonder what would have happened if she'd have said, "Wow, I love that you're drawing your sister's toy cat. You know, why don't you draw this, that, and go further and deeper and see what happens."
I mean, I love your
So,
observational drawings. I mean, as you said, when you look back on, you can see where you were, what you were doing every single day, can't you? And you can see your journey through your drawings. I think that's
yeah,
just marvelous. It's like keeping a diary, but you do it with your drawings.
yes,
Um,
yeah. And also, if there's an avocado there, I know it's because I had the busiest day ever and I didn't have time to do my drawing and I came back and just drew something out the fruit bowl.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we all have days like that, don't we, where we don't have time for the things we want. But I love that you make time every day to do that. Would
Yeah.
you say that it's had a profound impact on your life or anything, or?
You know what? I just got to tell you how weird this is. But the other day I saw a program about David Hockney and I was like, oh my God, I love David Hockney so much. And he is so great because he does a painting a day. Wow. He's an amazing artist. He's so great. And then my partner said, don't you do a drawing a day? I kind of forgot. I
Yeah.
kind of, it just really is a part of my life now. It's so fun. And, like I might do something really fun because I can make it into a drawing. because I want to see that. Like tonight, I'm going to the circus.
Wow. Okay. And so your drawing tonight, today, will be of a circus.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. So it's for you, it's your way of injecting kind of fun into your life. And I guess it's, I think that's something that a lot of people are missing as well, is that kind of, you could just work, 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 work,
Yeah,
and you could just not have that fun. But I mean, for me, do yoga regularly. I meditate. They're kind of my ways of kind of injecting some of that me time into my life. Um, Obviously, I write as well, not consistently. I do need to get more consistent on that. But I love that you've got this, that you've been doing it for 10 years, and that it's just become so much part of your life.
yeah.
And have you ever gone to bed and realized you haven't done drawing and got up and done one?
No,
No, no,
no.
because it's just
Because
so much.
anyway, I go to bed late. I go to
Yeah,
bed about midnight, so by then I have done it. But there has been 11 p.m. where I think, how could I have not done my drawing a day? There wasn't anything. It was a very busy day, da da da. And then I will just go and grab something. But now, because I've got flowers, I can always go and draw the flowers. And the
yeah,
spring, I like drawing. I also sometimes grab Cliff and say, look, Isabella Plantation, we're going there. I have to do my drawing. I want to do it, come on. And
yeah,
also, I do bonus drawings, especially if I go away, because I'm drawing the postcards to send to people.
yeah,
Plus, you know, plus I've got another sketchbook. So I'm allowed to do more than one a day. But the one a day goes in the moleskin, and then bonus drawings are either on postcards or because my friend said to me at my exhibition, you haven't got many originals. This was an exhibition a few years ago when I only had Chiclé prints.
yeah,
But when I look through my drawers, I have actually got loads of originals because they're all the bonus drawings or ones I did before I did one a day.
yeah. And so you just hide those in a drawer.
They were just in the drawer. And um, I did get some out for this last exhibition, but you can also make too much stuff. That's why I like the size of
Yeah,
these books because you know, David Hockney, he does a painting every day, then he has to store it somewhere. I
yes,
know he's
yeah.
very popular now and everybody wants his work, but he did say that his studio was so cluttered that he had to move out loads of work because there wasn't room for him to be there painting.
Yes. Whereas at
It's
least
nice.
yours are all in a notebook, so they're contained.
They
Yeah.
could absolutely, absolutely. And Cliff scans them. That seems to be the thing he does now. I used to do them in the beginning. So every year is scanned. And then at the exhibition, I had a slideshow of every day at the private view coming up on the screen.
So you must have a lot of notebooks, though, if you said you go through one a month.
113,
Yeah.
113 I'm on, which is more than 3,300 days. Pictures, literally.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Memories.
Yeah, I just find that absolutely amazing that you have done that, for 10 years so consistently. And
Yeah,
you light up when you talk about it as well. So it's obviously bringing you so much joy. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, if we could all kind of be consistent, I think, in things like that, it would improve the world. So what would you suggest to somebody who's thinking that maybe they want to start something like this?
So get a notebook. See, because I've already been a professional artist, I actually can only use professional artist quality, paints
Yeah,
because I couldn't bear if all the drawings and paintings I'd done and kept would suddenly, when the light went on them, they would disappear.
yeah,
You know, there's different qualities of paint and pigments, and what you want is one that's going to last. But as a beginner, what I would do was go to a charity shop, go to Save the World Club. They've got loads of materials, equipment, free, find everything, and then just start drawing and do a small drawing a day with pencil. It doesn't matter, and you can have a rubber and rub out. It's just me. I have my own set of things. So I did use pencil when I first
Yeah,
started, but then I was going over it with pen, and I was thinking, cut out the middle, man. Get rid of the pencil and
yeah.
just draw. And even if it goes wrong, it doesn't really matter, you know.
Mm.
But, it's actually about seeing what you see and then looking further in. You might say, oh, well, I haven't got anything to draw. Well, anything looks good, or
Yeah.
anything can be put on paper, and you can stretch your how you see things. I haven't. I'm very tight, actually. I mean, you know, I would think if a real artist looked through my books, they'd be going,
I consider you a real artist. Isn't it funny, the language we use about ourselves and the things, that you don't. I mean, I look at your work and I look at the stained glass you produce is just amazing.
yeah, thanks.
And to me, you are an artist, and yet
Yeah,
you don't consider yourself a real one.
yeah, I know. It's funny, isn't
It is.
it? So
So
that's
do
the
you,
language. Mm,
yeah, the language, yeah, yeah. So you are an artist. We're all artists in our own different way, I think. We're
yeah,
all creative. So would you say
yeah.
that your drawings improved over the years?
Well, memories sometimes come up because I've taken a photo every day. Memories
Mm.
sometimes come up on my photos Google, whatever it
Yeah.
is. But, and it says, oh, 10 years ago you were doing this, 9 years ago you were doing this. And I sometimes look at them, I think, blimey, this is much better than I remember it to be. You know,
Yeah.
that, that does look real. So I don't know because often I'll finish my drawing and I'll think, there's always tomorrow.
So I guess you've become less critical of your drawing sometimes, or when you look
Yeah,
back, you can see actually, because when we look at something in the moment, we quite often think, oh my God, that's rubbish. But it's only when
yeah.
we look back. Because I've done that. I've written a poem and just shelved it and thought, right, that's it. There, not going there. And then I'll find it again a few years later or whatever and read it and think, oh my God, why did I think that was so rubbish? Um,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
it just needs a
exactly.
tweak or two or whatever. So yeah, it's amazing what we do to ourselves, isn't it? The stories we tell ourselves and yeah, like
I
telling
know.
ourselves we're not an artist when we quite clearly are.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, no, I have got a bit of a, I've got weird. I think of Rembrandt, I think of him as being an artist and, other great artists. So I don't think I'm a hobbyist.
Mm.
Not that. It's just a creative person, I would call myself. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't really know. I don't know. I call myself a stained glass artist, actually,
Yeah.
even though sometimes I think, oh, how am I getting away with it? Because other stained glass artists who just pursue and they go in one direction, whereas I'm
Yeah.
very diverse. I like copper foiling and soldering and making sun catchers and making windows, and I like the whole dimensions to it. There's nothing's ever boring. Even like teaching is okay. Uses up a lot of
Yeah.
time where you could be doing your own work and
And I think
playing.
that's where a lot of us get lost and trapped in life as well. We compare ourselves to others all the time.
Mm,
We don't own our own brilliance and our own talent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a really lovely note to end on, Simone. Um, where can people find you if they want to?
Okay, well, my drawing a day is on Instagram. Simone Kay, the number. two, 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 two. Because when the little lady set me up, her finger got stuck on the twos, and I was like, oh, all right then. Simone Kay, two, 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 two.
I will share your details with the podcast as well. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then we've got a website for our stained glass work, but
yeah.
you have to type in www dot because we're old school and it's about 27 years old, the website. But it's quite fun to look through because it's got
Yeah. Okay.
varieties of,
Yeah. So
yeah.
obviously I
Yeah,
will
thank
share
you.
your details. I am setting up a community. May well by the time this episode comes out be set up for people to connect and communicate with each other. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on today and
Thank you.
sharing your story, Simone.
Yeah. Thank you so much.